Aloha and happy Father's Day to every dad out there, to all of my friends in the US, Europe, Africa, Asia, the islands. Happy Father's Day. It gives me great privilege and joy to be able to share with you some of the rumblings of my heart and mind as a father, as a dad. And as I look back, um, October this year will be the ninth year since I was admitted or accepted into this father's club, if you will, um, of father's journey, as some might prefer. And I must admit, I I had not prepared myself for what becoming a father would entail. Of course, I didn't know how to prepare if I had to. Um, I would say that mentally and somewhat emotionally, um, the excitement of seeing my wife being pregnant and learning to communicate with my daughter in the womb. Back then we didn't know who, male or female, um, until her birth. Then we named her, and that's Hope Shekinah. Um, the excitement mixed with the expectation of our arrival on that fateful October 4th, sort of create the atmosphere of readiness, if you will, or perhaps I was convinced I was ready and prepared to be a dad. Um, and and this is by virtue of reality and certainty. That is to say, at of that time, I was ready and prepared, and I could say to you, "Bring it forth, and let's go." Um, but honestly, I can confess to you that it only took few days for me to realize this was a completely different ball game, and that the the idea of becoming a father with the reality of being a father will confront each other, and I was caught in the middle. If you understand what I mean, to those of you who are dads, if you remember the first night when baby came home, you know, after your celebration excitement, you could hardly sleep, and that was the case with me. I still remember jumping up out of bed after about 2 hours of sleep just to go and check. Uh, I would check the breathing. I would check uh, the movement, and sometimes I would jump out of bed. I thought I've been sleeping for hours, only to realize I had just slept for 45 minutes. And then here I am again, just checking this precious human being that is in my bedroom, and she's not leaving anytime soon. She'd come to stay. As a matter of fact, I need to start creating space for her. Um, and creating space for her was not about thinking about creating space for her. It was creating space for her by action, and that had to be done now. That is as of 9 years ago. And that space will only increase, shrinking back my own space within that capacity. Nonetheless, I have other areas of a space that would expand, such as the area to become a father. One part of creating that space was reducing my sleeping hours by allowing her to request for food in intervals of 2 hours or less than 2 hours. And I had to learn to understand that the way the baby is going to request, the way my daughter is going to request for her food, it's not necessarily how I think. How I think you need to ask for food. Like, mom, please, I need food. That's not going to happen. And it doesn't matter if I understand her or not, that's not going to stop her from crying in her language of requesting her diaper to be changed. And to be honest, the first 7 weeks were the most challenging weeks of my life as of then. I've gone through unspeakable circumstances in life with some unprecedented hardship and challenges, and that demand of me to take on what I had not prepared for. But this season and time of becoming a father access every area of my emotional, social, mental, physical capacity, and successfully exhausted all of them. And I wasn't ready for that. And I still remember thinking back then, I wish my dad was alive. I would have had a different kind of conversation with him. And if you're listening to me and you have a dad that is alive, whether you are a father today or soon to be a father or one day might be a father, let me tell you what I was intending to talk with my dad about. I said to myself, if my dad was alive, I would have asked him a question such as, how did you feel when your first child was born? I mean, I am going bonkers. My mind is going bananas. I just want to ask him, tell me of a reality. Don't preach, don't explain concept. Just tell me what happened to you when your first child was born. Just tell me. And all I wanted was an example, a story of life reality. And I suddenly start realizing nothing can actually prepare you to become a dad. And maybe that has to do with growth and transformation in life, that nothing can actually prepare you for growth and transformation in life than a real and true life story. So I hope my story can encourage you if you're a young dad or just turning a dad, or you're anticipating the birth of your baby, or maybe you're planning to get married and let me say here before I continue that none of this has to do with sort of like gloomy, challenging, oh come and save me. Of a truth, I would never trade every experience I've gone through for anything. And as I speak to you right now, I have no atom of regret that I didn't prepare myself well. I am so sorry. I have no regret for that. And I'll touch on that later on. But let's progress here so that you really understand where I'm coming from. Um, the the idea that I could have prepared myself somewhat more ready with, maybe I should have read a lot or understudied, that was not what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for more material to learn how to respond to my daughter or how to be a better dad. I found myself wishing in my subconsciousness, how I wish my dad was alive. I just want to ask him real questions. And I think that's the power of mentorship, that we can ask true life questions. And anytime we desire this deeper experience of really growth and transformation, it's probably because our hearts just want real life stories. Secondly, I want to ask my dad, how did you respond? How on earth did you respond? Like, what did you do when she kept crying? When I kept crying when I was a baby, what did you do? What did you think to yourself? What went on in you, in your mind, in your heart? And how did you respond? And by no means, I wasn't intending to respond like my dad would have responded. I just wanted to have an understanding of what happened to another man. Because you see, around me, in everything I do with friends and, leaders, and this is to say, the way we function today in life is in the way that the reality of what happened inside and in our mind cannot be captured by one side view. I cannot capture how to be a dad by just observing my leaders without accessing what's going on inside of them. Like what led to that behavior or action or response. That's what I needed. I guess you would say I wanted to hear from my own dad, a figure of influence whom I knew growing up. He was a dad. I wanted to know and hear from him saying to me, son, it's okay. And you will go through this. And I want to end this first part of my dialogue by saying to you, a dad, becoming a dad, whatever stage you are in life right now, you are just fine. And you might just find out you're doing better than you thought. And then in the next recording, I will share a little bit more. May the Lord bless you. Aloha.